Okay, so in one of my previous videos, I listed that I was gonna make a video explaining every track, Formula One track, which has been in the United States. Well, today is that video, so let's get in right into the video. Let's do this. Our first track for today is the Sebring International Raceway, hosting its only Formula One race in 1959. The race was most known for two things. First, Bruce McLaren winning his first Formula One race and becoming at the time the youngest race winner of a Formula One race, and also the championship battle that took place during that race. It was a freeway battle for the championship between McLaren's teammate Jack Brabham, Ferrari's Tony Brooks, and Sterling Moss. Yeah, and Moss retired early on, and Brooks finished third. But on the final lap, Brabham shockingly ran out of fuel, and he had to push his car over the line to finish fourth, which was, however, enough to win the championship. However, like I said earlier, Sebring will host another Formula One race as we go stateside again to our next racetrack, which is the Sebring International Raceway. Sorry, Riverside International Raceway. So, Riverside hosted its only Formula One race in 1960 and it was won by Moss, this time driving for Lotus. However, while the driver's purse was enormous, the race was no better received than the previous years due to lack of promotion and proximity to the successful Times Grand Prix. But our next circuit for USA would be third one is a charm after all. From 1961 onwards, Watkins Glen Circuit would be the home of the United States Grand Prix. Hosted its first race in 1961, as I said before. So it was not really. So let's say it was a sort of somber mood for the Grand Prix Association, as at the previous round in Monza. So Phil Hill, who was American, won the championship for Ferrari, but that was a race in which his teammate Wolfgang von Trips tragically passed away. So Ferrari, with Hill already being crowned champion, as I said before, decided not to go to the USA. The race was won by Innes Island, his only race win in Formula One. And we've had some pretty good races there, some pretty good moments. 1969, Jochen Rindt won his first Formula One race. 1970, after the death of Jochen Rindt, his teammate Emerson Fittipaldi took his first win and crowned Rindt as Formula One's only posthumous champion. 1971, Francois Cevert took his only Formula One win as well. 1974 as well, Claire Regazzoni and Emerson Fittipaldi, they were level on points going into the round, and Fittipaldi ended up winning the championship by 3 points. But it also had some tragedy. 1973, Cevert was in his last race as Jackie Stewart's teammate, as Stewart would retire from F1 at the end of the year. So going through the S's, which is where Lewis Hamilton's going through in the background. So he got a bump on the S's and the car vaulted over the barriers and he lost his life. Stewart decided to withdraw from the race, and the following year, Helmut Koenig, exactly the same day, exactly 1 year after the death of Sever, he would have a suspension failure on his Surtees and went straight through the Armco barrier and got decapitated. And yeah, that's pretty much it. At the end of 1980, the money ran out, and so Formula One in Watkins Glen was no more. But that did not mean that Formula One was done for the US, at least not now. The Long Beach Street Circuit, which played host to the United States Grand Prix West from 1976 to 1983, and they would have some good races right there. So, in 1976, Claire Regazzoni took a Grand Chelem in front of teammate Niki Lauda and Patrick Depay. 1977, Mario Andretti became the only American driver so far to win on home soil. So, and in 1978, the start-finish line was moved from the long sweeping shoreline drive at the bottom of the circuit to Ocean Boulevard. So the race was 79.5 laps. Gilles Villeneuve led most of the race before colliding with a back marker, and so Carlos Reutemann, his teammate, won the race. 1979 was some small confusion, although Gilles Villeneuve he would eventually go on to win the race, taking a Grand Chelem from teammate Jody Scheckter, with also Jean-Pierre Jarier, no, not Jean-Pierre Jarier, sorry, Alan Jones completing the podium in third for Williams. We don't have much time left, so I'm gonna have to go through most of these circuits real slow now. Detroit Street Circuit is our next circuit. The Detroit Grand Prix ran from 1982 to 1988, but it wasn't that good. Not really, because it was Detroit of all countries, cities. Well, and we don't have much time, as I said, so let's just move on to the next circuit, which is abysmal. The Dallas Grand Prix, which was an abysmal event. Never. So Nigel Mansell was on pole position for the race, but the track, due to the increasingly hot temperatures searing in Texas, track started deteriorating and some of the concrete started melting. They put new layers on, which was completed only hours before the race, so they had to delay the start. And then Mansell, during the race on the final lap, his Lotus broke down, and so he had to push his car to the line, fainting mere meters before the finish line. Although he was classified in 6th place to score a point, Keke Rosberg won the race. Apparently, the reason how he did that, he wore a NASCAR-style cooling cap under his race helmet, which was how he kept cool. And something iconic, Ayrton Senna, who was then in his rookie year, 1984, he crashed as he said that the concrete barriers moved 1 inch into his way. You can tell that was how much Senna was pushing the car to the limit. Our next track in Formula 1 in the US was Phoenix, another race in the United States West. So, Long Beach, California. So you're gonna see where this is going. In addition to the United States Grand Prix at Watkins Glen, another race called the United States Long Beach, California was the United States Grand Prix West. Like I said earlier, the point is, so they moved the track to Phoenix, Arizona. So it was memorable for its final event there in 1991. Of course, a battle between Ayrton Senna and John Alesi for the lead of the race. Alesi being in only his 7th start, facing prime Ayrton Senna. Come on, man. But after that, however, Formula 1, the money dried up in the US, and Formula 1 would be absent in the US for another 8 years before they'd find another home. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and I've got to say, what a circuit that was. So, Formula 1 in Indianapolis is a bit tricky. So, from 1950 to 1960, basically Formula 1's first 11 years of existing, the Indianapolis 500 actually counted as a Formula 1 championship race, although it was mostly Americans that participated in those races. So it returned in 2000 as a full championship race, and in 2000 the championship was going down to the wire between Michael Schumacher and Mika Hakkinen. Schumacher, of course, battled with David Coulthard for the lead of the race before eventually coming out and taking a crucial win in the championship. In 2001, after 9/11, Formula 1 was actually the first motorsport to take place in the United States since the events of 9/11. Mika Hakkinen took his final win in Formula 1. In 2002, there was a bit of controversy as Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello finished side by side on track. Eventually, it was Barrichello who won by just 0.011 seconds. 2003 was a wet weather event. Jenson Button had an engine failure, denying him of a first Formula 1 podium. It was Heinz-Harald Frentzen who won. He eventually took 3rd place. Michael Schumacher won the race again from Kimi Räikkönen. But the next 2 events in the United States were a bit crazy. In 2004, Juan Pablo Montoya was disqualified because he switched to a spare car on the formation lap. And during the race, his teammate Ralf Schumacher crashed at the brickyard, or at least the final corner, final corner of the race, and he broke his neck and missed the next few races. And 2005, need I say more? 2006, Juan Pablo Montoya again caused a massive starline accident, including teammate Kimi Räikkönen in it, whose onboard is on in the background, and contributed possibly to the debut of Lewis Hamilton, who won the next race in 2007. But that was the last US race for the foreseeable future, but Formula One would find another home a few years later. So in 2010, the Circuit of the Americas decided that they were gonna host the United States Grand Prix from 2012 onwards. So Sebastian Vettel took pole position, Lewis Hamilton won. 2013, Sebastian Vettel won again. 2014 and 15 was Lewis Hamilton won in his championship winning years. 2016, Hamilton won again, taking a victory in a season where he would just lose out on the championship. 2017, he'd win again, although that was his most recent win at COTA. 2018, Kimi Räikkönen won for the first time in 113 races. 2019, Valtteri Bottas won, Lewis Hamilton won his 6th championship, and ever since then, COTA has been hosting the United States Grand Prix. But there are still 2 more circuits which I need to discuss before the end of this video. The Miami Autodrome. In 2022, it was Miami, of all cities, that signed Formula One for a 10-year deal on the calendar, taking place in the Hard Rock Stadium. But he hasn't received the best of reviews. 2022 was a boring race, 2023 same as well, although this year Lando Norris won his first Formula One race. And let's go to our last circuit, which is in a more somewhat prestigious city. Last but certainly not least, it's in Las Vegas. So, like Miami, it's announced a contract to stay on the F1 calendar for 10 years. And let me be honest, Las Vegas is actually pretty good of a Formula One circuit, and I think it deserves its place on the Formula One calendar. Yes, some fans agree that it should be only one country per race, or at least one race per country. They, some reason, don't like multiple races from the same country, but whatever. And those are all 12 circuits in the United States that have hosted a Formula One race. Yes, this might not have been the best voiceover, but it's far from the worst. And I'll see you again in my next video. Goodbye.